Hello and welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm your host, Chase Gordon, and I'm joined here by Tony Tones and RT. How are you, Tony? How's it going?
Doing pretty good.
You love to hear that. That's simply
We
lovely.
actually, I guess we finally seen each other in
That's
was it
true. I saw
16
Tony
months?
for the first time in like a year and a half
Yeah.
this weekend, which is why the podcast was actually delayed because we were still out and about in Sunday, and then
Yeah.
you were working late yesterday, so that's why it was delayed
hmm
another day. But we're
Yeah.
here. We're here to talk about some news. It was nice to see you again. Um, it's strange seeing people again after such a long time.
Yeah.
Very
It's
enjoyable.
weird.
Makes you feel like
I
a
forgot how board games worked.
right, yeah. Makes you feel like a human being again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we talk about some trailers? As we
Yeah.
had the Anna
Let's go
Parina
for it.
Interactive Showcase, and my personal favorite news of this past couple of weeks is the official announcement of the Outer Wilds DLC Echoes of the Eye. I'm so hyped for this, Tony. You know how much I fucking love the Outer Wilds. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
I know.
definitely like one of my top games of 2019 or 2020 if you it only existed to you when it came out on Steam. Um,
Yeah.
so this DLC is going to be coming September 28th. We have the store page as well on Steam as well. Um, and the store page says the Harthian space program has detected an anomaly that can't be attributed to any known location in the solar system. Grab your flashlight and prepare to illuminate the darkest secrets of the Outer Wilds. I have no fucking idea how this ties into the main game, because if you've played the main game, this is kind of confusing. Um,
Yeah. Could they not like add it in like play it through again and like experience
Yeah,
this?
so they said they were trying to set it up so you could play the DLC in your first playthrough, but also
Go back
your
and
second playthrough. So I'm not sure how they're going to
yeah.
do it. Obviously, there's it's coming out September 28th, and it's one of those games where the less you know about it, the better, and that's going to be true with the DLC. So they're not giving too much away
Yeah.
when it comes to the DLC. We do have a little bit more information that would be quite useful to know. So it's going to September 28th. They said, and I quote, "We designed the expansion as if it was always lurking within the world of the Outer Wilds, but hadn't been discovered yet." So it seems like it's going to be a whole
Jesus.
new planet. Cause I guess it seems to be some sort of quantum thing. The eye is quite an important thing in the main story of the Outer Wilds. Obviously, I don't want to give anything away because it's an amazing game, and I really hope people play it, especially if this DLC sees some more hype, because it's a really cool game. Um, while Echoes of the Eye doesn't match the breadth of the base game by itself, it does have more depth than any existing location in the solar system. So I assume it's going to be like a really big planet in terms of depth. I assume that's what the DLC is going to be.
It's gonna be a giant planet, I think. Yeah.
Not necessarily like just a planet, but the thing with quantum stuff is it can teleport around, and there's
Yeah.
also like
Could it not
there's a lot of
suddenly
like
activate the
cosmic
planet
stuff
then
that can
it's
happen
everywhere? Okay.
in
Okay.
yeah. And then the final one that's pretty important for people who have a weak disposition. Outer Wilds has always had light horror elements to it, but this expansion really leans into the spooky side of things. Don't worry, we added a reduced frights option to the menu if you find it too intense. This is the first time I've ever seen something like that, like a reduced frights option.
Can
It
can I
reminds me of
play
the
horror games without
arachnophobia
them?
mode in
Yeah.
Grounded.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
wonder.
I guess it's just a more extreme version of that. Like, I guess, like the idea of arachnophobia is like you're kind of scared of it, like not in the same way, I guess, but like it's still kind of like a you're scared of it, so it kind of makes sense
Yeah,
to
because the Outer Wilds
follow that through.
definitely has some like cosmic horror stuff where it's
Yeah,
like the scale and the sense of loneliness and the sense of like the size of things makes it terrifying. There is some.
I can't think of the word that describes that right now, but yeah, like
Mm.
it's
Well, the thing is, like,
oh no, it's on the tip of my tongue.
famously, the creator of Subnautica said one of his things he did with Subnautica was he accidentally made a horror game. He did not intend to make
Yeah,
Subnautica a horror game, but there's a lot of Subnautica that's fucking terrifying, which is amazing. But the Outer Worlds is kind of like Subnautica in all the ways, minus the crafting stuff, where you have to pilot a ship through a big unexplored world sort of thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I can see the parallels there, but the GIFs from the store page make it look really cool, and I am going to play it, Tony.
Have they
Oh,
got prices yet?
prices? No, we don't know any of the
Okay.
pricing yet. From all my research, I couldn't find any. I assume it's going to be around. I feel like the base game on sale is like £11, so I feel like the DLC will probably be around £5 to £10 probably.
Okay.
But
Right.
that's just a complete speculation guess, so do not quote me on that.
Yeah.
Um,
I will. Well, I can not quite use. It's a
let's
prediction.
go
That's
to
what it
the
is.
store page because the game itself is £20 or so. It's £19.49, so probably around like I would say like the £10 to £5 mark is probably a good estimate for DLC, considering it's not going to be as huge an expansion as um, the base game. So excited to go back. It's one of the weirdest fucking games to do DLC for, so I'm interested to see how they handle that. Okay. Oh, also, Donny, I was telling you about this in the car, I think. The ultimate
Yes.
mindfuck is that there is a dev who worked on the DLC for the Outer Wilds and also the DLC for the Outer Worlds.
I
So we
can
have the
imagine them walking
Chaos
from one to the other.
Master themselves right here. So we have the outer. They worked on the Outer Wilds. They didn't work on the Outer Worlds, but they did work on the Outer Worlds DLC and the Outer Wilds DLC. So get that into your Pepe Sylvia brain charts things. It's a meme. People know what I'm
It's a
talking
okay.
about.
I'll have to trust you on that one.
It's
But yeah, that is.
it's the image of
That
it's
is
the image
slightly confusing.
the image from Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's like Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Sylvia. I'm gonna find it.
Okay. I feel like it still won't mean very much to me.
You've definitely seen this image. I'm gonna tell
Okay,
you that
okay.
much. You just don't know it yet.
I've seen. Okay. I still feel like it won't mean very much other than yes, I've seen this image, but I mean, there's only one way to find out.
Do, 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 do. Oh, I keep getting like a really bad. You know when you see like a Google image, and then it like cuts it down to like a smaller scale image.
Oh,
When you
yeah.
click on it, this one. Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Sylvia. It's all there, guys.
Okay,
The
I've
chaos
seen this
theory.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad I derailed for that. Next up at the this was part of the Annapurna Interactive. That's the publisher of the Outer Wilds. Some other interesting indie games. Oh god. Okay, I've just seen this image in the Twitter replies. Someone's already made the Outer Wilds echoes on Eridanos to confuse more people by mixing
Oh
together
no.
the DLC titles of the Outer Wilds and the Outer Worlds. Okay, bit of a prankster on our hands.
And then we have a crossover of Ratchet and Clank. Captain Quark would be in there.
Next up, we saw more of Skin Deep's gameplay. I think I've talked about this in the podcast before. I think it was at E3. But I think this game looks really interesting. It's sort of like
Oh, this yeah.
it's like a weird ice. It's like a weird like roguelite immersive sim where you have to go onto different ships and murder pirates. But it also has the element where you can be like stinky and stuff, and you have to like wash yourself so you don't make smells and stuff where they can detect you. But it's got like lots of set pieces where you can like throw weapons at buttons and eject people out to space locks and stuff like that. It looks really interesting. I want to play it because it looks really weird. I mean, always say I want to play like Devolver Digital stuff because it looks, at least it's always interesting. So
Yeah, this looks like one
I'm
of
definitely
those.
gonna have to give it another shot. Um, Next up, we have Stray. And I'm always up for artsy platformers, so I'm going to have to add Cat Platformer to my list of artsy platformer games coming to Steam, PS4, and PS5 early 2022. This is an interesting looking one. Basically, you start off like it's pretty much like you're a cat in a sort of city post human sort of area And it
It,
starts off like pretty
yeah,
simple, like you're a cat trying to survive this area by yourself. And then by the end of the trailer, it starts to shift into like, because I thought this was going to be the whole game, but then it shifts into like you get a device that lets you communicate with robots, and then you have to go into a town of robots and then help them fight like these weird
yeah.
creatures that are
This
stopping
was a
anyone from leaving.
E3 trailer at one
Yeah, I
point,
think
right?
I think this was at E3 for sure. Because
I think
I feel like
2020.
it starts off with like, oh, the whole game's going to be you just a cat. And it's going to show like nature and like humans like taking everything for granted and stuff like that. But then you get like a full fucking communication device where you get like a little robot to shoot out your back, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? Like it's starting to get pretty freaking weird. So yeah,
I swear, like the graphic. I realize that it's not out right, and it's like
hmm.
we don't know what the actual quality of the graphics will be. But I swear there's even better graphics than that I remember from the E3 trailer. So
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's coming out on PS4
it's
and
ray tracing.
PS5.
That's what it is. I think they just added ray
Yeah.
tracing there. I don't think it is, but
Yeah, I like the stylization. It's a very good looking
yeah,
game.
yeah. Like the
Mm.
like I think that's one thing you can do if even if you're going with like
You
realism.
can
Like you can
you can
add.
collect energy drinks in a dystopian future.
Perfect.
It's the Strand type game, Stray.
Yeah.
Um,
But when it comes to realistic games, you can always like add unique
it's good
colors
over
or like unique
combat.
elements to like the world. So like that's always something you can do.
Yeah, there's these weird like creatures that try and attack you, and then you have to like run away from them. And then at one point you get like weapons, and you start fighting these creatures. Oh my god, the scene when you're just rolling down a hill on a fucking um, trolley, running them over. This looks
Scram
like a
I'm
good
watching
game.
Scramble stuff. Yeah.
I'm going to play it.
Yeah, some
Um,
weird stuff in this though.
yeah, that's Annapurna, really. It's a lot of artsy, weird stuff, is the way I've
Yeah,
described Annapurna published games.
but
Not
they're
all of them
interesting
are,
though.
like, great, but they're usually
No,
interesting.
I think their
So,
recent set of stuff that's quite interesting. But yeah,
they do a lot of, like, I would say Annapurna is more, like, lighter gameplay. They're usually more text-based
yeah,
walking sim sort of
yeah.
stuff, usually. Which is why I'm not like super hyped on them because Devolver's always like gameplay first, but above everything else,
Yeah,
and that's the
yeah.
sort of stuff that I really love. But yeah, definitely interested in that game. I also saw you remember Solar Ash, the Hyperlight Drifter 3D platformer. We
Yes.
got a release date for that. That's coming out October 26th. Also, in news from Annapurna Interactive is there's a new studio called Ivy Road that is bringing together Davy Redden or Redden. I don't know how you pronounce that, but basically the developer of the Stanley Parable and Beginner's Guide.
Okay,
Carla
nice.
Zimonja from who worked on Gone Home and Bioshock 2. See, Gone Home's I think is an Annapurna game, and that's the sort of stuff where I'm like, that's not really my kind of game. Um,
Hmm.
and Tony, C4118, the OST producer of Minecraft, all coming together to start a new studio known as
They-
Ivy Road. And
what
their
the
first
hell?
project
Okay.
will be announced in a game in cooperation with Annapurna Interactive. So you
That
have.
just like can we just bring like a few people together that's like everyone will know who they are, but like they would never normally be in contact with. This is so weird.
You're gonna have like the Stanley Parable, but with the soundtrack of Minecraft, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, you had me there. You had me there.
Minecraft Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
Steve Parable.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, that's the end of the trailers from Annapurna Interactive. We also had EA Play because they were like, "Fuck E3, we're just going to do it a month later." So we had basically the EA
I completely
E3
forgot about this, I'm gonna
conference.
be honest.
I forgot about it as well until it was on, and then I was like, "Oh, it's on."
Yeah.
So we'll start off with a light one. Knockout City Season 2. It's out now because by the
Oh,
time
it's
it's
already out.
announced, it's already out. But there's basically a new map being added. It's cool to see that they're definitely still producing content for this game because it's really fun. I haven't played
Yeah,
the new map yet.
do we
Sorry?
have any like player numbers or anything, or do we not
That'll
know?
be on Steam Spy probably, even though it's, Game Pass and
Yeah.
Origin and stuff. Knockout City Steam player. I'm going to say around 3,000.
Okay.
Something like that, maybe.
Well,
But
right this second.
Right this second, no. I would say like average players. Like, see, May was about 3,000, June was 1,600, and then it's been about 400, 500, 400 recently. But this is only on
Right.
Steam because
Right.
you have
Right.
to also take into account that it's on Games Pass, Origin, and what else is it on? I think it has. I'm not sure if it has crossplay with the consoles as well. So there's like a massive
Yeah.
amount of players.
Well,
Oh,
isn't the
it's on EA Play. It's on EA Play. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
that's
yeah. I was
stuff
gonna say
that's
like
really hard to measure because
it
those are huge player bases.
yeah, it's kind of like part of like EA's like plan at the moment, where like they want a service that people will keep subscribing to.
So we get a
Then they're like,
new.
well, we add games to it. That's how we do it.
So we've got a new map and it's got a bunch of new configurations, and then on top of that we've got the new soda ball that I have no idea what it does because I'm not spoiling it. I want to just go into a game and get hit by it and go, what the fuck is going on? Um,
Mm.
Next up we have quite a big one. Dead Space, the official teaser trailer for a brand new Dead Space game. This is a remake, not a reboot. Sometimes
Yeah.
they do this where they give the original name, but they just reboot the series. They are remaking the original game. Um, it's rebuilt from the ground up by Motive Studios. If you don't know, Motive Studios are the people who made Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Squadrons. And they said this is to offer a deeper and more immersive experience in the Frostbite engine. Of course, if it's EA, it's probably the
Okay,
Frostbite
I'm not.
engine.
I don't know how that's good. I'm not gonna question it, but sure. How can it be
Yeah.
more immersive though? Like just like prettier visuals. Is that what they mean?
Yeah, that's what I assume.
Is that what they mean by
What
immersive?
engine
Because
was
I feel like
The original's Dead Space in? Was it Unreal? Probably.
probably something like that. I didn't. I don't know. I have. I really like the first game. I never played the second, but I did watch people play it. Um, I don't know. I kind of. I don't know. It
I
wasn't
know I
quite the
looked
same
this
as the
up.
first one to me. But I don't know. It's like a bittersweet feeling. Like EA killed the devs behind Dead Space, like Visceral, and now they're rebooting it. And like, why? I'm not rebooting it. They're remaking the old ones, right? Um,
It says
so
here the
why
team
shouldn't they
reused the
keep
game
them?
engine they designed for The Godfather, which was chosen because it had been tailored to the development style, supported the necessary environment effects, and implemented the Havoc physics engine. So it was like a really old a
Oh yeah, yeah,
proprietary
yeah.
engine.
I forgot. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. It has like you can like as the like it has a gravity gun. You can pick up stuff and throw it.
well,
Telekinesis.
look, Tony, this is it. They needed a sci-fi game made by people who had only been working on sci-fi games. I mean, there's no one else they could have.
Okay.
There's no one else they could have got to make this. I mean,
No,
they had
no,
to
no. They killed them.
they had to get the Star Wars guys because there was no one else at the company who could have made a
Can I
sci-fi
say
Dead Space game.
if you're making a sci-fi game or you've made sci-fi games and then EA comes to you like but you can take the deal to get the money if you want, but just expect your studio to be dead within
Do
5 years. That's what I'm gonna say.
do a Bullfrog Studios and just go off and form 22 cans, the Peter Molyneux special.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no, wait, you went to Lionhead first, right?
Well, Lionhead was on the Xbox,
He went to
and
he did Bullfrog, got bought by EA, left, went to
yeah,
Lionhead, got bought by
yeah,
Microsoft, left, and then
yeah,
went to 22 cans.
and it's still there
Yep.
until he leaves, I guess.
But yeah, that Dead Space games kind of left a bit of taste in some people's mouth, considering they basically
Yeah,
destroyed Visceral, and then were like,
I,
let's
I want
just
to say as well. I honestly still think I have to play it again like today, like just like to make sure of this. But I still like for last time I played it wasn't like that long ago.
I've
But like
seen
I don't know,
someone
it's
like
three.
streaming the original Dead Space and it still holds up to this day.
Yeah, I played it 3 years ago. Like, is that a long time ago? Like a short time ago? I don't know, but it
I think
still
that's
held up
fine.
back then. So I just
Yep.
play those games.
Well,
If this
we'll be talking about
if this is a
games
good game,
getting remakes that still hold up to this day a little bit later.
yeah,
Um,
it's not a bad thing 'cause it doesn't remove the old one. Like I can't like if they
well,
yeah, it's not a problem.
I felt a little bit like that with the Mass Effect one.
A little bit, yeah, because you can
Yeah,
still. Well, I think if they just remade one, it would be feel less weird,
but
right?
I think if they are remaking a lot more games from EA, it would say to me like the Mass Effect Legacy or was it,
Oh,
collection's doing well. If these remakes start to pop off,
yeah.
they're going to make a lot more of these. Like what
So is the
Visceral,
is the
not
plan
Visceral,
to be like
Vicarious
the
Visions
Mass
did.
Effect one and be like a reboot or a remake of the whole trilogy?
So far, I think it's the first game, but I
Okay,
don't
so
know.
it's not going to be like Mass Effect then.
No,
Okay,
I think because I
interesting.
think they're remaking it from the ground up, so they're basically
Oh, right,
just going to do the
true.
first game and then they'll probably
Can they
move on.
remake the third one from the ground up and like not make it shit?
The weird co-op one, yeah.
I'm okay adding co-op in. Like I know, like I don't necessarily want it to be the main way of playing the game, but like I
Right.
don't have a problem with co-op. But I need to get rid of like the pay to win element in a single player co-op game.
Yeah, because
That'd be great.
I've played like half an hour to an hour of Dead Space. Like I haven't really played it, but I've like launched it.
Right.
So it's a game I've been meaning to actually play for a while, and it was pretty fun from what I played. But at this point, I might
I just love the
well, I'll
ambience. It's
see
just
how the
so good.
remake how the remake does, and then maybe play that if it's a big
Yeah.
improvement. Next up from EA Play, we have Battlefield Portal, which actually looks surprisingly fun from somebody who wasn't like massively impressed from Battlefield 6. Battlefield Portal does look really cool. So
I still want Bad Company 2 properly, but yeah,
we
this
now
looks
have the
good.
ability to play DICE created, community created, custom or old remastered content without ever leaving Battlefield 2042. So you'll be able to inside Battlefield 6 play content from Battlefield 1942, Battlefield Bad Company 2, and Battlefield 3, my personal favorite Battlefield game. We have remastered maps: the Battle of the Bulge from 1942, El Alamein from 1942, Valparaiso from Bad Company 2, Arica Harbour Bad Company 2, Caspian Border from Battlefield 3, and Noshahar Canals from Battlefield 3. Um,
So is this this is still something you would have to load through like an always online service, or is this
yes,
a
yes.
different system? It's the same system, okay.
I think Battlefield. This is inside Battlefield 6, and the whole of
Yeah, I
Battlefield
was gonna
6 is
say.
always online.
Yeah.
Um,
This is like I still like for me like I played Battlefield Bad Company 2 and
hmm,
I loved it. I still want another. I want Bad Company 3 is what I'm trying to say here.
right.
Um, I don't really care about any other Battlefield games. But I
Yeah.
guess like if I wanted to play something like similar, like I guess I can now. So
Well, for me personally, I want to play this and I'm going to go around murdering people with the Battlefield 3 EOD bot. If you don't know what the EOD bot is, it's
no, I have no
basically
idea.
it's a little robot with like a flamethrower on it. You're meant to basically go. It's so you can drive behind like
With a what?
tanks and repair them in the field.
Oh,
It's not meant to
right.
be used in combat at all. But one of the things you can do is it deals very little damage to people through the fire. So one thing you can do is you can like drive up behind people like who are camping with snipers and then just slowly kill them with this bot. And it's funny seeing them like
Right.
stand up and
Okay.
then try and shoot this bot as it's like slowly killing them. That was one of my favorite things to do. I would just drive EOD bots through Operation Metro in Battlefield 3, and you just go through these tunnels and just sneak around like a little stealth robot, like the robots in Rainbow Six Siege. That's what it felt like, and
Okay.
that was really fun. So, looking
It sounds
forward
fun.
to
I mean,
harness that. Yeah,
I'll give you that. I mean, if I'm getting Battlefield, was it 20? What's it called? What's the game called? 2042.
Battlefield 2042.
I
Yeah,
keep people memeing and just calling it Battlefield 2070. I never remember the name.
I just called it Battlefield 6. So that's what
That's
it
a
is to
better
me.
name. Yeah, numbers that add one each time.
I
That's
mean, we
what
just
we
had
need to start
Battlefield
doing.
5. It's just
Yeah.
Battlefield 6. I mean, it makes sense to me.
I don't think
Sorry,
I'll get
guys.
Battlefield 6, but if I really feel the urge to play like Bad Company 2, I guess I'll have to.
And then we got some more Lost in Random gameplay. This was a pretty
Oh,
interesting game that we saw
yeah, this
like
is interesting.
cinematics for. We actually got to see quite a lot of the gameplay, and it's like a card-based system. And I was like, oh, this is getting pretty interesting. You have like the 3D platforming overworld, and then you have like combo. You have like attacks, and you can like randomly roll the dice in order to use more of these combat cards.
Oh, the
Uh,
dice are alive.
mhm.
Yeah, I really like the art style is very interesting.
Yeah, it's very like Tim Schafery or
Yes,
like
that's that.
Tim
I was
Burton.
trying to put my finger on it. Yes, that is what it reminds me of.
Tim Burton, very much so as well.
Yes, like the good Tim Burton, not
I
the
am
bad
going to
ones.
build a deck. It's a deck builder, Tony. I love to see
Oh,
it.
there's a skeleton, right? I'm in.
Yeah. So
Or maybe,
that
I
one looks
like
really
this.
interesting.
These things are very creepy. I quite like this.
Be interested to play that one. So that was EA Play. We'll then move on to Joe's weird VR game of the week because apparently I've just started putting random VR games on these things since what is it I did? There's the Orchestra VR game I put on one week.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know.
But we have the last video store is a blockbuster-inspired game coming to PSVR. It's a PSVR exclusive, guys. You love to see it. So you're going to be able to relive what it was like to go to a blockbuster in VR, which is
Is
going
that
to
all
be an
this is?
experience. Well, there is like massive nostalgia for Blockbuster. That
That's
like I think
fine.
there's one Blockbuster store that exists as like a museum now for people. I think it's actually a functioning video store as well that you can go and
Okay, but what does this PSVR experience allow you to do though? I just walk around
to
and
go there
watch.
without leaving your home. It's the experience of the late
Right.
night drive in the 90s and you go or the 80s or the 70s and you want to go and see a
But
movie,
surely,
but you're not sure what movie you want to watch. You don't
but
browse
surely,
a
unless
website.
it's actually linked to movies, like I don't see how this
No, no, no.
experience is going to
You're
replicate.
not understanding what it's all about.
No,
It's
I'm not
not.
understanding.
Blockbuster's not about the movies. It's about the
Yeah, but
experience.
I agree, but that's a part of the experience, surely. I don't know. I don't have much. I've already been to Blockbuster a couple of times, and that I wasn't like by myself, like someone else was going. Like I
Mm.
don't have any nostalgia for it.
I remember as a kid, ah, like I think I sold some of my old games to Blockbuster, and they were like, "What do you want? Like
Oh,
cash or Blockbuster credit?" And they were like, "If you
okay.
get Blockbuster credit, it's like way more money." I was like, "Ah, give me the credit. I'll be back to Blockbuster, guys, to buy some shit."
You fell for it. Oh
Oh, they have
man.
Mac and Me, the famous film that you can't watch probably. Oh, maybe you can watch these films. Maybe they
I
just
don't
have
know.
really old films that they've somehow got the license to. Pick a shake and
Maybe,
choose whether to
but
watch it in a living room or a movie theater theme. You watch the movies, Tony. You watch the. I'm just finding this out now, watching the trailer.
okay, right.
No joke, I'm buying it just to browse for hours reading movie synapses because people like to pick up the boxes and read them. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, I understand that part. I understand. Like I understand. Like it's kind of like I want to own a book and not just like I want to like my mass reading like on like a Kindle or something or just on my phone.
Hmm.
But like if I really like a book, I want like a physical book. Like I get these like I
Oh,
want to
you want to hear
hold the
the? You want to
physical
hear the
thing.
funniest thing?
Go on.
It's being developed by Rare Bird Games, the company behind the extremely weird horror title Seinfeld Remastered. So that's like one of the
What?
weird things. Um,
Okay.
it is like I think it's actually this. It's like a Seinfeld horror game, which is like a weird like nostalgia
Well, here I'm
thing.
hoping that the blockbuster game will be a secret horror game.
Yeah, it could be. It could be like creepy to be in like a store by yourself.
Maybe you go in, you're having a great time, and then suddenly it closes, but you're still in there. You've been in for so long, you're trapped. And the only way to leave is to watch movies inside the store.
Okay, let's move on from this.
Oh dear.
It's quick news, Tony. PES has been
Quick
renamed
news.
eFootball and is fully free to play. They're finally giving up on selling the same game over and over again, and they're now just saying, "Oh, we
Oh,
loaded
the
up the
other
fucking
football game though,
yeah."
because the
We've
copy and
we've
pasted.
given up on selling this game filled with microtransactions. That is a free to play game that we charge money for. We're now giving it to you for free because we know we can make more money through the
Well,
microtransactions.
yeah, my understanding is they never like had the appeal that like FIFA had. I don't think they can get
Mm.
the same like they don't have the rights to the faces.
They
Like they
had
have
Pele
some
once.
rights, but
That was enough.
not like the big ones.
So there are reports that apparently PES Mobile was making 3 times more, or had 3 times more players than the console versions. So just to go show you like
Right.
how
Okay.
big like the free to play mobile market is, basically
Yeah. Well,
accessible to
it's
more people play
yeah,
it.
but it's access to more people and accessible to more time slots, right? Like it's easy just like stop and do a little thing on the phone.
So they've shifted from Konami's Fox engine to a custom built new engine created with Unreal Engine 4. So it'll be
Wait,
the first.
this is a Konami game, is it?
I don't know if
Or
PES
was
is,
it?
but they're using
Who's
Konami's engine. I don't. Oh yeah, it is to Konami because I
Yeah, I'd
remember
say it's
like,
one of the last holdouts.
right, because whenever you see Sports Ball, you're like, that's an EA game.
Because
That
I only
EA
reason why
Sports.
the only reason why I thought it might be other than like the engine is like I vaguely remember at the time like there was like this
Fuck
is like 5
Konami
years ago
for
now,
PES.
but like people were like we're gonna well some people were like oh like fuck FIFA, they keep making it worse and worse, let's like boycott and buy pairs, and it's
Mm.
like, and then it's kind of the same time Konami was being really shit. I'm like, you know what, I think
No,
PES might
just
be
don't play
the
football.
worst evil over FIFA, I'm
It's
afraid.
not coming home, guys.
No.
Humankind removes de novo before launch. I think it's one of the first times I've
Interesting.
ever seen this. Um, it, so basically, Humankind had de
Oh,
novo for the closed
only for the
beta,
beta.
to
What?
protect. Basically, they said it was to protect the launch from a cracked version.
Yeah, that
And
kind of makes
then
sense.
people were complaining about performance and how it was
Yeah.
going to affect the game and always being online and stuff. And basically, they said, um, so they could get it to work, but that de novo should never impact player performance, so they were removing it in its current state. So they basically said,
Oh,
we couldn't get the game to run well with de novo or as well as we want it to,
do you think that's a part of the contract?
but
Like they
we
promised that it won't affect gameplay.
but basically they left the from their wording they kind of left the door to be like, hey, we might put it back in at some point. That is what they were
Yeah.
kind of saying here. So if
Is there
they,
any point if they get loads of sales though? Like, I feel like
yeah,
it's going to do quite well.
I assume they're like saying, hey, if we fix it before launch, maybe. But I'm
Mm.
thinking they're saying they won't be able to fix it before launch.
We haven't
So
got long before launch, do we?
no, I don't believe so. When it is launching, I don't know because I'm not going to play it.
17th of
It's
August.
Civ 2, guys. It's the new Civ.
Yeah, we got what, 2 weeks from now?
Netflix confirms it will add games to the service and won't charge users extra for them, so this is going to be an interesting thing to see. We've already seen stuff like the Bandersnatch FMV game for Black Mirror. We also
Yeah,
had the Stranger Things games that they kind of put
yeah,
out on
I heard
Steam.
that almost all of these games are like just like franchise things to add more
Yeah,
content
I
to the
assume, but
existing content.
that's not necessarily a bad thing though. That there is good franchise games, so I'll be interested to see. And given
Yeah,
that,
I just feel like the way they're doing. I know that they got more money than the other ones, to be fair. But I'm just concerned that they'll all be like little, not trash games, but like really small like novelty games.
you think it's going to be more of the early licensed games rather than the
Yeah,
later licensed games like
yeah. I
Miles
just feel like
Morales
the way
Spider
they've.
Man or like Batman Arkham Asylum or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah. Like for sure. I don't know. Like I'll be happily surprised,
Well,
but
video games have been adverts for a long time. So like, just
yeah.
look at Fort. I think there's an Ariana Grande concert in Fortnite coming, so look forward to that,
Yeah,
guys.
I believe that is true. I think I've heard that.
We turned the radio on the other day, and I said, "What the fuck is a BTS?" So there you go,
Chloe
guys.
Peach know what beats guys doesn't even know what BTS is. Yeah.
I thought they were a Japanese band or something.
Yeah, well, I don't really
No.
listen to them either,
But
so
I
I'm
think
not
if they're going to
really.
add it for free, I think it's going to add its value that you
Well,
don't otherwise
that's what makes me
necessarily.
think though they won't have much money to like try and get like these big like Spider-Man
Yeah,
games or
but
like
seeing
Batman
how much
games.
they spend on them, like producing their movies and stuff, I think they're going to at least attempt to put. Obviously, like having a bunch of money to
Yes.
like burn is not always a good thing because you've seen people like Amazon's attempt into
Yeah.
the video game space.
My understanding as well is that at the moment Netflix is in this like massive bid to try and make sure that like they've got this like massive audience and they're like I don't know like super sustainable, like not in terms of the world and the planet, but in terms of like money. But I don't know. I just feel like it's more of
Okay.
an advertising
Next
thing
up,
over
we
it than anything.
have Fallout Worlds brings your own custom Appalachia in Fallout 76. Now, with your £100 a year sub, you can set your own custom server with your own rules, such as no
Can I
camp restrictions to make a mega buildings, PvP servers,
wait
etc.
this?
Progress will not carry over to the main game. What are you
So
asking,
just to
Tony?
clarify, what were you getting before this for your £100 a year?
You could join a server that no one else could join, but it was essentially the same thing.
Okay.
Well, you were joining a private, so you could invite your friends who also had the pass to the server, which is what people
Right.
wanted in the beginning. But now you can make your own server with your own like relaxed rules that you can set up beforehand.
I still feel like £100 a month for that is really not
No,
worth
a
it.
hundred
But
pounds a
okay.
year. I said
Oh, sorry, a year, a
a
year.
hundred
It's
pounds a
still not
month
worth it though.
is
That's
that's
still not worth it.
that's
That's like
the that's the
Netflix
cheap
cost,
that's the
right?
cheapest price that you could get is if you bought
What,
by the
there's
bulk
more?
£100 a year.
Oh my god.
No, that's the cheapest price you can get the service. Is if you
Oh
commit to a
god.
year of it. But that's the easiest way I can get you to understand how expensive it is if you want to
Yeah.
play on private. If you don't want to have a
So they,
public lobby in Fallout
just to
76.
convert to per month, then the cheapest price per month is then it's like £8.33. That's insane.
Fallout first. Oh, sorry, you get icons and emotes as well, Tony. I think I'm
Oh my god.
misrepresenting. You get some in-game
Sorry,
currency.
sorry.
Um,
I get golden bullets or
so
something.
if you buy it, yeah, so it's really bad if you buy it monthly, Tony, because if you buy it monthly, it's £12 a month.
Oh my god, it's like 50% extra compared to the yearly one. So they really lock you in to get the
Yeah,
discount.
yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I'm gonna make a video because recently I've played too much New Vegas. I've played like 120 hours of New Vegas, and I fucking love that game. And I've also been playing a little bit of Fallout 76, probably like 18, 20 hours. And
That's
I've
still too much for me,
tried to
but
play it, and I'm really, really trying to play it, and I'm really not enjoying myself so far. But and I
okay.
refuse to buy this fucking pass. I just fuck off with this shit. This is pissing me.
Yeah.
As someone who's like, I want to try and play this game and enjoy it, and then just be like, hey, here's this content for people who are willing to pay £100 a year. I'm just like, oh, this is just taking the piss. I don't know. This is
Just
pissing
get
me off.
Amazon Prime or
What's the
Netflix.
deal with
Doesn't matter.
homeless Fallout Worlds? Just get a
That's
pass, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Let's move on to Steam news. The Steam timestamp. Steam has been brought up into a antitrust case that, in my opinion, is a load of bullshit. But let's read it. We'll
I
fire.
find not all of them, not all of, and actually no, not all of the lawsuits against him are bullshit, but like, yeah, this seems complete
Yep.
bullshit.
So Wolfire is the person filing the lawsuit, and their case centers in part on the fact that Valve requires free Steam keys generated by the developer using Valve's platform to be sold on other platforms at prices no lower than that offered on Steam. So if you wanted to generate a key for your Steam game and you were selling your Steam game on Steam for, let's say, £20, you couldn't go and generate a Steam key and sell that Steam key on Humble Bundle for
Yeah.
£10.
I,
Which,
I feel like there has been cases in the past where people have like shady developers and like Greenlight, for example, have tried to do this,
hmm.
but then been removed or I don't know what actually happened, but I vaguely remember like cases of these like way back in the 2013 sort of days.
So Valve is, to my knowledge, the only storefront that allows devs to do this, where
Or even sell your keys elsewhere.
they generate copies of their keys on their platform for devs to
And yeah,
sell on other platforms that they don't
because
get any cut of.
you can't sell an Epic key anywhere else, can you?
Because they're
Like if
arguing, hey, Steam's taking a 30% cut, that's unfair. And it's like, well, in that 30% cut, they might be allowing you to generate free keys to sell on other platforms.
yeah. And also, like, because the other thing as well is like, aren't you still allowed to generate your own keys in a different way and sell it lower if you wanted. You
If
just
you
can't do it for
wanted
the
to,
Steam keys.
you could make it so that you had a key system that made it so that you could offer people copies to your game through your own system, and you can sell it for however much you want. That doesn't
Yeah.
fucking matter. But it's specifically the Steam key. Like, you could get a key from Epic and then sell that on a different website at a lower price. I guess probably. But the reason they're not doing that is because Epic probably charges you to generate additional keys. They're not giving away keys for free.
Yeah.
So
But to me, it's
basically,
like there's like secret, well, not secret, but like things that like I don't know. I feel like Steam gets a bad rap and that's this whole Epic thing a lot of the time. Like I feel like obviously they lowered like the 30% cut to something lower. Like that's going to be better for devs, like 100%. Like but at the same time, I feel like I don't have a personal problem with the 30%, 70% split. Like I think that's better than YouTube, right?
but yeah, it basically, if they do end up winning this lawsuit, Valve will probably just pull the plug on the free Steam key generation thing, and
Yeah,
they'll just
you're
hurt all
gonna hurt
devs.
everyone. Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense in my opinion, and it seems
Do
like a
we?
frivolous lawsuit. I don't. I think
Because
it's just
because even if they win, like compared to
dumb.
what Steam or what Valve gets, like it's probably like nothing. No,
Well,
like
they're
big
trying
amount
to
of
turn
money.
this
But
into like a fucking big old like
Epic
antitrust,
versus Apple
yeah,
lawsuit.
like a monopoly
Yeah,
thing where they're like, well, Steam runs everything and we need their keys, and it's like, but it's a
can I?
service that you don't need to take advantage of.
I do sort of blame Epic for this. Like, I feel like there's been this huge push, like, oh, if you see a 30% cut, then it must be antitrust. Like, can we just
Mm.
fuck off with that sort of line of thinking? That doesn't automatically make it antitrust.
Mm.
That's not what makes something antitrust. It's like the control and like what you can do with it, which makes it antitrust. Like, stop looking at like the percentage cut and go, it must definitely be this. Like, I feel like that's just far too simplistic.
So we'll move on with Steam Valve news. Oh, Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection has been spotted on SteamDB.
What?
And
Okay.
according to hold your horses, Tony. According to Time
Okay, I'm
Vicker,
holding.
do you remember the Half-Life 2 update mod? Probably
Yes,
not.
yes, yes,
Oh,
I
you
do.
do. Okay.
I
So
do actually vaguely
I've
remember
played
that.
this, and I was basically like, the Half-Life 2 update is basically someone just added some bug fixes to Half-Life 2, added some achievements,
Yeah.
and then just added like very small quality of life improvements, like they added some fog and some like fire effects. But it's like an incredibly faithful. It's basically Half-Life 2, and if you put them side to side, you would find it hard to tell the difference for most
Right,
people.
right. Okay.
But according to Tyler Vicker on Twitter, the Half-Life 2 update team is working on this with the consent of Valve. So it is the people who made the Half-Life 2 update is working on this,
Yeah.
and they're going to remaster Half-Life 2 and the 2 episodes of Half-Life as well. So we'll have to see how this turns out. If it's just that's the person who's working on it, it will probably be like a very small change where it's just basically quality of life stuff and then slightly better surface level graphics, which will be nice to see. Because like the episode I was talking about earlier, like the Half-Life games are not in desperate need of a remaster at all.
Yeah.
They hold up
Yeah.
to this day incredibly
And they
well.
can still run. They can still run.
But I don't want to hype anyone up.
Okay.
But according to the developer behind this, he basically said this remaster will put the original Half-Life update to shame. So whether that's just talk
Okay.
or whether it's actually going to make some crazy big improvements,
Oh dear.
we'll see. I'm
I
sure,
feel
like after hearing that, all the Steam Valve fans are like, "This is a Source 2
Yeah.
port of the original
Can I?
Half-Life 2 collection."
Maybe this is well intentioned, but like I just feel like if you're, and maybe it's not like maybe you shouldn't have to even consider this, but I just feel like in this point in time, if you're talking to like a really fanatic fan base, maybe like don't like hold up like godly expectations. Maybe like just say like, oh, it's gonna be good, but I don't know how to put it. I
If
guess like
I'm gonna
don't
guess
like
what's
hype
gonna
it
happen,
massively.
if I'm going to guess what's gonna happen, There's basically they're just gonna make episode 1 and episode 2, and it's gonna be similar bug fixes to the ones that were added in the Half-Life 2 update. I think it's gonna be a
It's
really small
tempering your
update.
expectations.
Yes,
Yeah,
I don't
okay,
think it's
okay.
gonna be like huge at all. But if I find out more information about it, you will be the first one to
Well,
know.
yeah, I think as well. Like, I think anti-hype is always going to be better. Like, oh, this exists, but like expect it to be like not bad, but like expect it to be okay. And then if it is good, like you're even more excited when it happens.
Hmm. Next up on Steam News, we have Steam's new download and storage page is out of beta, and I have used it.
Yeah.
But it's very much more minimal. So it's designed with more stronger calls to action. Game key art logo featured in the header, which I really like, because when you're downloading something, you know what you're downloading because it shows the game that you're downloading at the top, so you know exactly what is going on. This has come out in the
It kind of showed
beta.
at the top before, but you could kind of scroll down and like not realize what you're doing, right?
Let's have a look at the. I'll show it to you now because I've got the new downloads page. Because I'm part of. This has come out in the. Is out in the beta, and I'm on the beta version of Steam, so I've like opted in to always have like the beta version of Steam, which is why I've got it early.
Right.
So you can see
Yeah.
here, this is what the new one looks like. It's much more stylized. There is also a new version of the storage manager, where it like breakdowns your storage devices by how much of it is games, how much of it is DLC, how much of it is workshop items, which makes it a lot easier to manage your space, which is pretty cool. So that's cool to see. And as well as that, the new Steam new mobile UI is live for mobile on the Steam app. This is the new UI I was talking about forever that was being teased. The brand new Steam Deck sort of UI that was coming with the Steam Deck was also in the mobile as well. I've looked at the new Steam mobile version. It's a lot easier to use, and of course, I was using the Steam app the other day because the Steam app just pretty much uses the Steam mobile website as its UI, so that's been updated as well, so I can confirm that.
I was reminded of an update to the wish list that came ages ago now, but they still haven't fixed the thing I want fixed with it. I don't think anyone really cares about this, apart from me.
My biggest gripe with the Steam wishlist is it's really hard to search for a game on the Steam wishlist and then change its number on the wishlist.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
my bug. Like, if you start searching for it, it immediately removes your ability to add like.
If
then
you
like, type in
if
the
you
number.
have a very long wish list and you search
Yeah.
for a game so you can find that game, you cannot
Whereas
move its
before-
place on the wish list.
Before you actually could do that, like that's how I used to order, like add, like because I got such a huge wish list, I kind of like filtered stuff to the top that I actually cared about like immensely. And it's like, okay, I'll make this like number 1, make this number 2, and like just like forcefully like add my top 20. And then it's like, oh, I can't do it to this one because like I can't actually find it and then change it. It's just really annoying.
Next up, we have Steam Next Fest has been announced for October. I believe I said this briefly on a Tangerine that may or may not be out right now, so let's do it on the podcast as well. There's going to be another Steam Next Fest, and I fucking love Steam Next Fest. I think it's really cool. As I always talk about, I love demos. I play like 30 demos in 1 week and I go insane. And I love to see it. And I hope there's more VR demos because the VR demos in the last one were really good.
Yeah, this was like the good demo festival originally, right? Like it was.
Well, I think the previous one was good, but I think the VR demos in the original one were not as good as they were in this one. So hopefully there's VR demos. I hope they don't do a thing where they release a trailer with a bunch of games and I go, look at these games and go, oh, I'm going to play the demo for that. And then those games have been pulled and they've already told Valve and they just didn't pull them from the trailer. And there's been some sort of miscommunication there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like Valve.
And I hope there's...
If you're gonna use someone's trailer, like maybe like tell them like can you double check like it's definitely gonna be.
And
available.
also, please make sure you have good categories for the demos where some were just appearing in the wrong categories, and I want a multiplayer tab for multiplayer demos that me and my friends can download and try. I just want a big tab at the top for multiplayer ones. That would be very useful. And please don't give me remote play, because remote play is not
good.
It's not great yet.
I'm saying it's not good. Like it's usable but not good.
Steam Deck's UI will be replacing Steam Big Picture. This
Oh
was
really?
pretty much a given, I think, at this point, given how like old Steam
I don't
Big
like
Picture
big
was
pictures,
given.
so
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, I use Big Picture all the time, or at least I used to when I would control my computer from bed, because I have a Steam controller and I use it to control my
yeah.
computer from bed, or at least I used to. And I would just go into Big Picture mode all the time, and I would use that as well. So nice to see that they're still giving love to Steam Big Picture. It's just a feature that some people use and some people don't. So we had a article saying recently that the Steam Deck would have a 30 FPS target, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh my god, it's another 30 FPS console. It's going to be another Switch." But apparently, the one of the people at Valve have reached out to say the 30 FPS target of the Steam Deck refers to a performance floor, at which point the Valve team
Yeah,
considered the game playable.
cause yeah,
They
'cause when I read the original articles, like it sounded like to me like they were trying to aim for like they're trying to get like the specs and like the everything to work.
if
So, like
if they
yeah, that's the
say a
minimum.
game is supported on the Steam Deck, that means
It's
that
at least
the
30
minimum
FPS.
is 30 FPS to even be
Yeah, that's what
considered
I read it
playable.
as.
And so I assume because Digital Foundry did a frame by frame analysis of a lot of the trailers, and a lot of the games are running at 60 FPS. They
Oh
also
really?
said there will be an optional built-in FPS limiter to fine-tune performance versus battery life,
That's a good idea.
so you can get better performance for worse battery
Yeah,
life.
yeah, that's a really good idea.
Um, it seems like they didn't announce that there was a mode where if you have the Steam Deck plugged in, you could get better performance for it being plugged in. This is something Digital Foundry brought up, where the Switch like has boost clocks when it's plugged in, which is why you have like
Yeah,
1080p docked
it,
and then
it'd be weird not
720p
to have
undocked.
it because like almost every laptop does this as well. So it'd be
Hmm.
weird them for not to have it.
We have a Digital Foundry reply here. A 30 FPS setting will be fine for demanding games, but with VSync active, please ensure that a new frame is synchronized with every other screen refresh, typical on console, to ensure consistency. 30 FPS capped, but delivery unevenly at 16.7 milliseconds, 33.3 milliseconds, and 50 milliseconds is not a great experience. This is just going and
Oh, the
talking
jumping
about
frame. Yeah,
how,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, frame consistently can be more
yeah,
important than
yeah.
a solid frame rate lock.
Well, yeah.
Um,
Well, my understanding from what Digital Foundry said is like the actual the frame, the time between frames is more important than the
yeah,
actual frame rate, and that needs to match up with your refresh rate.
next up, we have finally for Steam is Ubisoft said it will put its game on the Steam Deck if it's big enough. This is just
It's
Ubisoft.
big enough.
I mean, Ubisoft literally made a deal with Stadia, so I don't think they really have any legs to stand on here. So,
No.
and as I
Also,
put
fuck
as
Ubisoft.
this comment I put here, all they've got to do is remove UPlay from their games, and all of them will be playable on the Steam Deck. What I was playing, I literally launched fucking. I was playing the Crew 2 because the Crew 2. When I play the Crew 2, it's a fun little
Oh,
arcade racing game,
yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah.
to launch it, it's
I forgot
like
what it was for a second.
you get to like fly around planes, boats,
Yeah,
cars,
yeah.
and it's a fun game. I'll play the Tangerine at some point. But then it's just like
Okay.
launching, and it was like I had to launch Uplay, and then Uplay was like I had to log into Uplay on their launcher, and then it was like I had to link the game from my Steam account to my Uplay account, and then it took forever to launch, and it was like this always online service. And I'm like,
Yep.
can't I just want to play the game. I don't care.
Yeah.
Get this
I know.
Uplay shit off. I like some of your games, Ubisoft, but I tend not to play them because of the bullshit you put into them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just like
Next up, we have the next category is tech, and we're starting with the subcategory of tech, Nvidia. We have Nvidia and Microsoft news. So first from Nvidia, Nvidia is immediately replaced. EVGA, the Nvidia partner who made the 3090 cards, is immediately replacing all RTX 3090s that died from New World. So if you haven't heard the story, for the win, EVGA 3090 cards had a bad power limiter on them, which would cause the card to short out when there was too much power draw, because it was like telling it could draw more power than it could. And then something in New World's code caused a big surge in power demand. But really the fault here is EVGA, I believe, because
yeah,
it could have happened with any game. It's a
Yeah,
fault of
yeah,
the
yeah.
card.
Because like the game shouldn't have done this. It kind of badly coded to do that, but it should like that sort of badly coded should not have killed the card, and like that's definitely on the card or the manufacturer of the cards. So like, wasn't it
Apparently,
similar to like that time like the first set of like RTX 3080s like some of them had like the wrong capacitors or something, and like the cheap capacitors like were like killing the 3080s. Like I vaguely remember
so I
that
don't
from
know if you
ages
looked in
ago.
this, but Jay, 2 cents went deeper into this issue, and he
Yes,
got
I did.
reports that apparently Nua was causing failures with RX 590s and 6800s in New
Hmm.
World, even RTX 30 80 Ti's. Um,
Right. Okay.
and he went deeper. He tested his own card on it and found the game was pushing the power consumption over 20% higher than what its power limit should be.
It's just like overriding like
Yeah.
the software lock.
But apparently, the MSI version of the RTX 3090 does not have the same issue with power numbers staying right in line with the power limit's maximum allowed wattage. So it appears that some cards are exhibiting abnormal power consumption figures when playing the game for some unknown reason, which explains why some specific board partners are the ones that are getting these issues.
Yeah, it's interesting.
My biggest question is how the hell do they have 3090s lying around?
I
Uh,
I would just assume that they keep some back for this very reason. Otherwise, you're kind of fucked out with that on a PR. Like, oh, can you replace this graphics card? No, we've got none. We sold them.
ARM is RTX on. The world's most widely used the most used CPU architecture meets real-time ray tracing and deep learning supersampling. Nvidia got
Interesting.
ray tracing and deep learning supersampling running on an ARM chip. This is
Interesting.
insane. Wait, does that mean? Wait, does that
Hang
mean
on.
my Raspberry Pi has an ARM chip in it? Does that mean I
Yeah.
can run ray tracing on
No,
my
it's probably not powerful enough.
Raspberry Pi over
The
here?
Raspberry Pi has really weak ARM
Yeah,
system.
yeah, yeah. I know.
Also, we don't know what ARM, like which ARM are they using here.
And also, what I wanted to say was, guys, ARM chip, we could get ray tracing on the Switch. We can get DLSS on the Switch. The
Okay,
technology
well,
is there, guys. We can get the Switch
I'll
Pro.
ask again. What chip did Nvidia get this to run on? Like, is it? I don't. Do we have any other information, or is it just like an ARM architecture?
Um, I don't know, but it was they had it. The GPU was they were playing Wolfenstein Youngblood. And
Okay.
it was a RTX 3060 GPU paired with a MediaTek Companion 1200 ARM processor. And I have no idea how powerful that is because I know absolutely nothing
No,
about the SKUs for ARM. Apparently, it's
it
a
doesn't sound like a powerful one.
5G open resource architecture from ARM. So it's a leading 6 nanometer chip design.
Yeah,
Okay,
interesting.
interesting.
But
Nvidia
it's like being
DLSS
being this.
SDK is now available for all developers with Linux support, Unreal
Oh,
Engine
nice.
5 plugin, and new customization options. Guys, the Steam Deck could have deep learning supersampling now. You'll love to see it. It's on Linux. So that's going to
I
be
can't
pretty
wait
important.
for Fortnite to have it.
I think, doesn't Fortnite have one of those technologies?
I think so, but it's not through Unreal 5,
I
right?
thought it
It's
was
on Unreal 4.
Nvidia DLSS is coming to Back for Blood and available in 4 games this month, so that's pretty cool to see. Some more games with DLSS being added, as well as Rust was another big one that was getting DLSS. It seems like more and more games these days are just skipping ray tracing and just adding the free performance from DLSS, which I can't
Yeah,
blame them for.
it's a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
What do we know what the steps are to like get DLSS into your game? Like, do you have to go through Nvidia, or do they have like a proper like thing that you just like use on
Well,
your
we
own
talked about
systems?
last week that they were like just allowing anyone to use it, basically, right?
Yeah, no, it's just the only
Um,
reason why I ask is like I know the 1.0 like they had to run on like Nvidia's super Qs. Like I don't know, I just don't know what the process is now with 2.0.
Hmm. We'll have to
Because
exact.
I also know that the AMD version is a lot easier to implement because it's just like
FSR.
local. Yeah, because like it's
Well, I
just
saw a
local and
report of
matches the
somebody
process.
using the new implementation of DLSS, the more like open source one, and they
Right, right.
basically were saying it was pretty easy to implement. It took about 1 to 2 hours to implement, similar to FSR.
Really? That I think that's
So
less time than FSR. I thought that took oh, that took a couple hours as well. I think of someone that took like 4 hours, but I think that might be
yeah, well, that's just
pushing it a
that's
bit more.
anecdotal thing I saw on Twitter from a
Yeah, yeah,
developer.
yeah. It's going to be very dependent
But
on
yeah,
your
it'll be
game and
depending on the
engine
game
and
and stuff.
architecture.
Next up, we have Microsoft news. Direct Storage SDK will be compatible with Windows 10 version 1909 and up.
That's
So if you're worrying that you need Windows 11 to use Direct Storage, you will be able to use it on Windows 10 if you're using 1909, which I think not a lot of people are unless you're like spamming the update button.
I thought
Um,
1909 was quite an old one.
it is compared, but most people won't be like 2004 and stuff like that are like
I swear 2004 was like in March this year,
because
like
I'm
like
not. For example, my computer's not on 1909. I don't know what
oh,
version
is it
you're on.
not?
No, I think I'm like
I don't know. I
1903.
can't. I just remember seeing it ages ago. I just thought that they'd been
Hmm.
pushed to everyone by this point.
No, I think a majority of computers were held back a long time because of the issues people
Oh,
were having.
right, right.
So
I just thought that was
unless
always
you've
really
been
easy to
like
push for.
manually pushing updates to your computer, you've been like pushing the feature update button, you're probably not that version yet. But by the time this
Okay,
comes
okay.
out, that will probably be like a widely used
I mean,
version.
I can have a little look, but
Yeah, if you go to your updates and the updates thing in your settings, it will tell you what version you're running. But they said so. Basically, there is storage stack optimizations on Windows 11. So this consists of an upgraded OS storage stack that unlocks the full potential of direct storage in Windows 10. And on Windows 10, games will benefit from the most efficient use of the legacy OS storage stack. So basically, this means that any game built on direct storage will benefit from the new programming model and GPU decompression technology on the Windows 10 version 1909 and up. But additionally, because Windows 11 was built with direct storage in mind,
it's
games
better.
running on Windows 11 benefit further from new
Yep.
storage stack optimizations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But did you look what version you're running?
I'm looking right now.
Okay.
Where am I look? Where does it say?
Is there an
Yeah, I'm
about
on
section?
yeah, I'm on. Where does give it its little name? Wait, is it in the about? Where?
I'm not. I can't look without looking, and I don't want to look right now
Yeah, I
because
just
I
feel
don't
like
want to
I'm.
leak stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't see where it just tells you
Okay.
the number.
Open sourcing Direct 3D 9 on 12 and the release of the DXBC Signer Nougat package. This means that DirectX 9 has been emulated on Windows 10 for a fair while, and they're open sourcing this emulation layer. This should make it easier for fans and companies to improve compatibility with old games. In this particular instance, they're emulating DirectX 9 by replacing the capabilities in the DirectX 12. Most people call this approach a wrapper approach. So basically, they're open
Yeah.
sourcing the older DirectX implementation emulation so that people can keep it running and get it running better for older games that need this DirectX 9 emulation. DirectX 9, you got to remember, is a really fucking old game. I was complaining that like fucking Guild Wars 2 was still using like DirectX 9 or
Mm-hmm.
something, or
Yeah.
DirectX 10.
Well, yeah, I think didn't Guild Wars 1 also use DirectX 9?
It's the same engine, Guild Wars 2. So,
Sorry, yeah. Well, it's slightly updated, but it's like yeah, it's like the same base.
so it's cool to see that Microsoft's doing this to help people emulate these older games.
Yeah,
And
this is one thing I will say like a massive positive towards Microsoft. Like they have like this, they really make sure like they have like this backwards compatibility. Like that's really good.
I'd
Like
also
you do not get that on anything else really.
Microsoft's game development kit, the GDK, is going to be available on GitHub for free. Microsoft was nice enough to give this small indie company GitHub its GDK. It was really nice of Microsoft to reach out to the small company GitHub If you don't know, I'm joking that Microsoft owns GitHub, and people always forget this. The GDK basically contains the common tools, libraries, and documentation needed for developers, and integrates with the Xbox ecosystem like commerce, achievements, multiplayer, and more. So it's basically for new developers, it makes it easier to get started and a lot easier to make your games able to run on Microsoft and Xbox and integrate that with achievements and stuff that you need to get it running on that. So that's pretty cool to see. This stuff is available on GitHub for free, making that a lot easier.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Next up, we have business news. Oh, business news, Tony. And I think business news is just Tencent news, because Tencent has snapped up British video game developer Sumo in a $1.3 billion deal. Apparently, so this is the parent holding company of Sumo Digital, and it's strange Sega didn't buy Sumo, given how often the two work together. So this basically means we're never going to see a Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing game again.
No.
Because I assume they probably won't work with Sega again, given that Tencent usually buys up these people and then changes what. But we'll have to see. Tencent's actually been okay with autonomy for the largest part.
Yeah, I thought it was they kind of want to push like their own ideals every now and again, but more often than not, they just allow things to happen.
But then you'll randomly see like a version of the game released in China that's been
Yeah,
like cut
yeah,
down, and you're
exactly.
like, okay, what's really going on here? And then we have Tencent taking a majority stake in Stunlock Studios, the people behind Bloodline Champions and Battlerite dev. So interested to see that. Delays, cancellations of announcements. We just got one piece here. We have World War Z Aftermath is coming September 21. So this is the World War Z finally coming to Steam, and then they're kind of re-releasing it with like some sort of update / DLC on Steam. So it's not. So it's a different version of the game, so it can get around Epic exclusivity sort of thing. So we'll have to see.
We vaguely talked about this before, right?
When it was announced. Yeah.
So it's now
We have a release date for it, so I'll be interested to see how that turns out. Because I was saying for the longest time, World War Z is really fucking good. I played like 40 hours of it on the Epic Games Store when they gave it away for free, but they need to release it on Steam because it needs like workshop support and it needs like a bigger player base of people playing it. And then we have our main news, which of course is Blizzard Activision. So if you have had your head under a rock recently, Blizzard Activision is being sued by the California over widespread harassment of women. Something so common in the video game industry right now that it's fucking insane that it's still going on, and it's taken this long to come public for a lot of big companies. So this lawsuit was highlighted multiple instances of harassment and discrimination or violation of state civil rights. There has been
like the most sad thing part of this all, right? It's like kind of like historical and like current abuse. It's kind of like just been around for like a really long time at this point.
Apparently, there's been a frat boy culture at Activision Blizzard that has led to years of harassment and abuse targeting women in the workplace. There was even a case of a woman being harassed so bad she unfortunately committed suicide. Very sad topic. Just to go into some of the stuff that was going on, apparently Blizzard recruiters were asking a hacker if she liked being penetrated at a job fair. That was a comment made by one of the Blizzard recruiters. Activision's IT worker was secretly filming colleagues in a unisex bathroom, office bathroom. He pleaded guilty to this in 2018. Right. Blizzard developers had an infamous Bill Cosby suite where they were worshipping Bill Cosby many years ago. There was a Facebook post from many years ago, I think it was 2013, where they were making comments about women and taking them back to their hotel room to, do inappropriate things with them. And in this photo, you can see people like the current WoW lead, the current Diablo 4 lead, the former Hearthstone lead, the current Riot MMO leader. I wonder if Riot has ever had trouble with some sort of this stuff in the past. They wouldn't. Riot Games wouldn't have had trouble with some of their developers
No,
having
no,
a
there's been
frat boy
no
culture.
allegations at all. Just don't search Riot Games
Don't
lawsuits.
search.
Whatever
Don't
you
search
do.
Ubisoft continuing harassment,
Yeah.
despite them saying they're trying to change things.
And didn't Rockstar also have a frat boy problem as well?
So Activision Blizzard employees they planned a walkout on Wednesday to protest working conditions, and in response to this, Activision Blizzard hired Amazon's union-busting firm mid-lawsuit in order to help review the company and defend them. So it seems like the employees were coming together to form some sort of union against the sexual harassment, and then Activision was like, "We can't have them forming a union. This is very bad."
Yeah. I really kind of hope that they just leave and find new jobs, but I realize that's not actually viable for a lot of people.
And then
that's kind of the
in
solution.
response to Activision Blizzard employees saying that they've hired this anti-union busting firm to defend the company amidst this lawsuit, in order to stop the employees from coming together and unionizing, the employees have started formed a coalition in order to reject the employees to reject the CEO's choice of law firm, basically. So they've essentially martyred the employees into doing what they didn't want them to do, which is classic Blizzard. I mean, it's been so long since I've been able to say Blizzard's gone a long time without a massive fucking scandal under their belts. You just have to look at, like, when we're talking about, like, the Hong Kong stuff and everything going on there.
Like Diablo
Immortal.
Pretty similar time, right?
Everything just that could Warcraft Reforged.
Yeah.
Just everything that they could possibly do wrong, they did wrong. And then this stuff coming out, I mean, like, we've already seen, like, most of the top WoW streamers basically quit the game. I know, like, Asmongold's not playing it, Preach has quit the game.
There was like that big time like people that still had time active on their account. They like just like sit down protest.
Yeah, and then people were like deleting their accounts, and it kind of come at like a worse time because Final Fantasy 14 is completely super popular right now. Yeah. And like from reports we've heard, basically, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast because it's another article I read. Apparently, the WoW devs were banned from talking about Final Fantasy 14 while working at Blizzard. Right. Whereas over at like Final Fantasy 14, they're talking about Blizzard and like, hey, these are some stuff they did right and this is some stuff we improved on and stuff like that. They're just like, yeah, we'll talk about it. Like, it's just a completely different attitude to have towards it, and it's like crazy.
Yeah, you should never ban people or just like banning people from talking about a game. Like, it's just good to like talk about other things that exist. That's always a good idea.
And I will say, the only thing I think Blizzard Activision's done good in recent history is when they got Vicarious Visions to work on their remasters. And the big news that just came out is that there is new leadership at Blizzard. The Blizzard president, J. Allen Brack, is out. And the former head of Vicarious Visions and executive vice president and general manager of the platform and technology, who joined from Xbox in 2019, are going to co-lead the company moving forward. So that's Jen O'Neill and Mike Ybarra will be co-leading the company, and this seems like this could potentially be a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but this at the moment seems like they're getting rid of the figurehead, and they're replacing them with people who are coming from outside the company, who they can say, hey, look, these people definitely have nothing to do with what's going on at the moment in order to appease crowds.
Yeah, as long as it's not just an appease crowd thing, and they can actually like do something like, because apparently there's like people in HR abusing their power and like ignoring stuff. Like, I feel like it needs to go further.
Well, it seems like Jalen Brack thought he wanted to run Activision Blizzard, but he didn't. So that's just want to show you that. It's not like Blizzard hasn't taken action today. They removed an NPC from World of Warcraft. I mean,
they removed the NPC of like but they didn't multiple NPCs. Like, there were multiple references.
But it's like the entire time they were completely silent, and all they did was remove a fucking NPC from the game.
so
It's like
dumb.
insane, like the amount of non-action that the company's
And
having.
like, I don't know if you've seen like what Jan Brack's like internal email like read and like what I think Bobby Kotick's message was public. I can't remember, but
Hmm.
like they don't. All they do is acknowledge that it happened. They don't really acknowledge like how it happened or like what to do about it. It's like it rings so hollow. Like it's like it is just like a fake apology basically. Like it's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, well,
I mean, but when you knew Bobby Kotick was evil, and I already knew Jan Brack
I mean,
was being an
you don't
asshole.
get into Bobby Kotick. Bobby Kotick, you don't get into Jeffrey Epstein's black book unless
Yeah,
you've been
yeah,
up to
that's
some
true.
shady shit. I mean, lots of people in that address book that weren't necessarily had ties with him, but that would just be speculation that Bobby Kotick is up to some shady shit.
We're just speculating that it's in Jeffrey
Speculation.
Epstein's contact book.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Your speculation, that's it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is a massive shame, and like as you said earlier, it's not just Blizzard like this. Like it just seems to be all the big publishing developers. Like it just
Blizzard, Activision, Riot Games, Ubisoft. It's pretty much everyone
yeah.
these days that I
I
can think
wouldn't be
of at the top of
surprised
my
if
head.
EA comes out soon. Oh, apparently Insomniac got like a few like has like bad
Hmm.
women workplace conditions as well.
I think that's the big problem at the moment. Is this is just the video game
It's
development
just the
culture at the
norm.
moment is just horrible to
Yeah,
women right now, and
it's
it's fucking appalling.
awful. Yeah,
It's
it's sad,
sad.
but I feel like we can't just not talk about it because otherwise it will never change. Like I
Yeah,
feel like
because
we
I
have
was like
to.
saying to you, like, I'm not sure what to say about this because obviously it's not
Yeah,
something I've experienced, so it's hard for me to talk about it. But obviously, I want to
we don't really
say
have
it's
anything to add,
important.
but I think it is important to at least mention.
Hmm.
Obviously, there are people on Twitter and like other platforms talking about this. Like maybe support them. Like that's
Yeah.
probably a better thing to do.
Burn it to the ground. Start again, guys.
That's what a lot of
Support
people
indie
think.
studios. That's the only thing I can think
Yeah,
of right now.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Not the homophobic indie studios, but that's another. That's the.
Mm,
Just be selective. Like don't just support the good guys.
yeah.
But it is sad. It is sad.
It's sad. Like it's like saying like because I was a massive Blizzard fan for the longest time. I love Warcraft. I love like
Yeah.
Hearthstone.
Well,
I like
there
Overwatch.
are
That sort of
people that
stuff.
put
Like,
a lot of effort into these franchises. Like you probably
and
like them for like their reasons.
I've just been watching it crumble over the past like 4 years, and
Yeah.
it's sad to see, but I'm just gonna move on, guys. I think I'm just gonna move on, and hopefully things can get
It's kind of
better for
like
the people who are still there.
yeah. It's kind of like me and Sasha at this point. Like not just the franchise is dead.
Anyway, let's move on to the Pimology tweet, and we'll end. That's the end of the podcast this week. So the Pimology tweet for this week is: if a game has fast travel, it means the designers don't have much faith in their game. My new game is constantly incredible that I'm introducing the world's first slow travel system to help
That's
prolong the experience.
that's just the trail. Pia, you've already made this game.
Somebody pointed out that's bullet time,
It's also bullet time, yeah.
and then somebody said, "What about constant bullet time, but you move at the same speed as your enemies?" So that's just slow motion. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's another funny Peter Molyneux tweet. We'll end the
Thanks,
podcast here because
Peter.
I'm finished with the podcast. We'll see you in 2 weeks. You can check us out. And everything in between podcast on YouTube. Type Peter Molyneux's name in. Twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live, and at Scorn2000 on Twitter if you want to follow me there for some reason. Sometimes I like memes. There you go. And
Okay, that's a good reason.
we'll see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye.